Good afternoon, and welcome aboard Gyno Airlines. With non-stop service to women rule, men drool. I will be your attendant, Archangel. Today's flight plan is as follows. In order to morally justify male disposability, we need to devalue males as beings. And thus, to fuel our quest to disparage male worth, we gratuitously slander male anything and propagandize the female equivalent with artificial propped exaltation. How does that sound? Well, for example, aesthetic appearance. We unanimously tout females as stunningly beautiful and gorgeous. And males? Well, no, not so much. Women are intelligent, multi-talented angels. Males, crude, rude, and lewd. Basically, toadstools with body hair. In fact, more than just being descriptors of the human sexes, the gender polarities have come to be trademarks representing qualities. Female is goodness, purity, beauty, superior quality, as well as a mark of the oppressed underdog, the hero. Whereas male is mischief, impurity, ugliness, inferior quality, as well as a mark of being the oppressive overdog, the villain. So people have come to see the human sex branding rather than the person. Female means that you can expect the enjoyment of a Honda. Clean, reliable, quality made, no problems. Whereas male is like an old Jaguar, where you can expect to have aggravating issues and problems, with nearly as much time spent under the hood chasing mechanical demons as will be spent actually driving the thing. So, are you passengers getting the picture? Anything male is bad, inferior. Anything female is good, superior, and nowhere is this blatant devaluation/exaltation more apparent than the realm of human sexuality. Guys are sexual fossils, and females are sexual dynamos. We absolutely mock and demean every part of the male sexual experience, while we simultaneously elevate and marvel over female sexuality. We absolutely elevate female sexuality to deity status, and pretend that female sexuality is a glorious enigma and unfathomable mystery that mere grunting mortal males are ill-equipped to ever understand. When it comes to either sex's sexual experience or their sexuality and genitalia, we not only mock and praise females, but we have belittled males and exalted females so much that we really have made a Grand Canyon out of these differences, to the point where it's hard to believe that these rotting turds and these luminescent angels belong to the same species. And really, what business do they have even interacting with one another? So, let's crack open the libel that we hurl onto male sexuality. Well, in a nutshell, we disparage males, and specifically we disparage the anatomical representation of male, their reproductive anatomy, penis and testicles. And hence we slander the male sexual experience, which is an outcropping of male genitalia. And male genitalia is a representation of maleness, or masculine, and masculine represents males. The same males that we devalue in order to morally justify their expendability. Gynocentrism means that we favor female welfare, and to do this, to ignore the suffering and injustice we hurl onto the other sex, we need to slander and vilify them as deserving of abuse, because they are inferior or dangerous. And we do an excellent job slandering male anything, but specifically their sexual anatomy and experience. We occupy an environment that loathes penises, and our immediate reaction to seeing one, whether in movies or a public flasher, is fear and disgust. Women scream, men get nauseated. Or man junk is a point of comedy by which to belittle individual males over their inferior size or shape. We express disgust towards testicles and scrotums. We mock and slander males as preoccupied with their pathetic genitalia, to the point where it runs their lives. So males, their bodies and genitalia are not really attractive. They are simply tools to enrich females and act on behalf of female welfare. We further mock and hurl contempt at the male sexual experience, and label it as weak, pale, compared to that of the female. Meanwhile, we elevate the females and their anatomy as a sexual mystery. Their equipment is state-of-the-art, light years ahead of males, and mysterious to the point that males cannot understand. But what we are told is that females have special advanced genitalia. They have the only self-lubricating organ besides eye sockets, the vagina. And they have the only human organ dedicated to pleasure, the clitoris. They have more erogenous zones. They have multiple orgasms. And they have multiple types of orgasms. And really, all grunting man-ape shovels need to know is that female sexual anatomy and experience are superior to that of the male. Essentially, females and female sexuality are viewed by and large by most people as the latest smartphone. And guys are pretty much that wall phone from the 30s that you had to wind up before putting the earpiece to your ear and speaking into the horn on the wall. That's just the way we're built. Don't get upset, dude. Just get back down on your knees and offer continued worship to the goddess and her sexual mysteries. Yes, we get male sexual degradation and female sexual exaltation representations all over society. Females portrayed as fully mapped and tuned Bugatti Veyrons, and fellas are Citroens with dented bumpers and broken horns. Gee, why would anyone take offense to being represented as a pile of turds? Stereotypes and popular representations abound, such as men are dirty grunting primates who have no stamina or talent, and dudes are only concerned with themselves and the stimulation of one body part. Moreover, guys are simply one-hit wonders or two-pump chumps who are lucky to get it up, even luckier if they last till the 2-minute mark. These and other negative images in whatever variation plague the male sex. Women, on the other hand, enjoy the widespread favorable images of being stunningly multi-talented, multi-versatile, multi-orgasmic, perfectly equipped goddesses of pleasure, with marathon endurance being a standard feature. The only downside of sexuality for females? Well, males, of course, and being continually disappointed by males' stamina and performance in the sack. Maybe that's why more and more females are turning to batteries and each other. They are sick and tired of males and their sexual underperformance. Yeah. I know everybody has seen or at least heard one slanderous example of devaluing male sexuality, whether in movies, television, media, literature, or even people on the street, that make a mockery of male sexuality simply to get a few laughs in conversation or a few pats on the head from a gynocentric public. Interacting within society is like walking through a misandristic minefield, blindfolded. You will step on male devaluation bombs no matter what you do or where you go. And this is absolutely demonstrable with the sexual comparison of the sexes. Whether it's the guy who can't get it up in this movie, or the guy who climaxes too soon in that movie, or the guy who can't satisfy his woman in any number of novels, all the way down to everyday chatter about how disgusting man junk and man juice is. I mean, everything from pop culture and media to product and service advertising to magazine articles to blogs on the internet. Male devaluation via their sexuality is universal. The human male is incessantly portrayed with negative cliches in print, media, and most especially in people's minds as being dirty, panting, drooling, deviant, selfish, pathetic, primitive, laughable goobers when they are engaged in sexual activity. And guys are especially pitiful when climaxing, which is a quick, sudden, half-second spasmodic grunt. Ta-da! That's it. Show's over, folks. Now it's sleepy time for Shrek. Movie after movie, show after show, book after magazine, after internet blogs, after everyday conversation. This is how the male orgasm is portrayed. That, upon penetration, males only care about themselves. Well, of course they only cared about themselves before penetration as well. And once penetration has occurred, males have only one speed, as fast as possible. They have no self-control, and they can't slow down. Then suddenly, without warning, approximately 24 seconds into intercourse, he suddenly tenses up for 0.05 seconds, makes some nasty guttural noise, and then it's all over as abruptly as it started, leaving the female bewildered, unsatisfied, angry, and feeling used, like the male just used her as an ejaculate depository with a heartbeat. But then females use males as human shovels and ATM machines. So isn't turnabout fair play? Use us, we use you. Huh. Oh, absolutely. Male sexuality is disparaged everywhere you turn. No big surprise though. Why? Because sex necessarily and primarily involves the male genitalia. Quick review. What is the first literal and symbolic casualty in an anti-male culture? Male genitalia. Okay, children, first lesson. You hate males? You disparage what represents them as male. Their genitalia. And who hasn't seen a commercial or heard a joke about Viagra or ED? Who hasn't seen a TV show or read an article or book where a man is said to be incapable of controlling himself or sustaining sexual contact for more than 30 seconds, 45 seconds with a condom, as it reduces tactile sensation? How about the incessant innumerable references made to male bodily fluids as nasty and gross? Females are especially disgusted by ejaculate, and there are actually baffling amounts of females who have texture issues with their food, despising anything that is runny or slimy or ejaculate-like. Egg whites are a perfect example. Some are merely disgusted, others literally gag at anything that in any way is slimy or snot-like, which reminds them of male ejaculate. And who hasn't joked or heard daily contemptuous accusations of widespread male promiscuity? That men will chase anything on 2 legs. Actually, they'll chase anything on 4 legs for that matter. Hell, they don't even have to have legs. As long as tree bark will hold still, guys will stick their deformed, disgusting thingies in it. Perhaps you've heard so-called experts, gynocentric researchers and scientists, further the notion that the pleasure a male experiences is a second or 2 at best, and pales in comparison to the orgasmic pleasure and intensity that females luxuriate in. Maybe you've heard a female lamenting the disappointment and dissatisfaction of being unfulfilled by her man, and have drawn the conclusion that males are selfish and or sexually dysfunctional. I could go on, and still on, with example after example. But I really don't need to, do I? Everyone has witnessed sexual devaluation of the male, and has seen an example of how males are slandered and humiliated in this area. Who isn't aware that males are sexually selfish and dysfunctional? Who hasn't heard that male performance is ultra quick and pitiful at best, or that their anatomy is unattractive and that their bodily fluids are disgusting? I mean, come on. Even Snap, Crackle, and Pop, the Rice Krispie guys, they have heard males sexually slandered from the front of their cereal box. Guys are sexual dysfunction, right? Yeah, however, what you hardly ever hear about is the appreciable amounts of female sexual dysfunction, because of course we're too busy being inundated with male inadequacy and excessive slander. Yet, in my journeys, I have run across claims that upwards of 40%, nearly half, of females have some form of sexual dysfunction, ranging from lack of desire to lack of arousal to inability to achieve orgasm. By way of comparison, just over a third of males have sexual dysfunctioning, ranging from erectile issues to premature release. Female sexual dysfunction? What? No, this couldn't be. Females are, as everybody knows, stunningly multi-talented, multi-versatile, multi-orgasmic, perfectly equipped goddesses that can outlast the Energizer Buddy and outperform males by experiencing pleasure that males are not capable of. Everybody knows it, right? Isn't this the malformed opinion that most people have in their minds, which takes the ambiguous form of generally mocking males while mystifying and elevating females? Well, sorry, but females are not divine deities above males. In some cases, they have as much, if not more, dysfunction than males, and sexuality is a prime example. For instance, there is lack of sexual desire, or hypoactive sexual desire disorder, HSDD, which is arguably the most common dysfunction in women. There are so many unhappy husbands that have to deal with this little beauty on a daily basis. She just doesn't want it. You see, when chicks want something like kids or a signed financial incorporation, aka marriage, they solicit themselves as ravenous sex goddesses who want to bang 10 times a day, 6 ways to Sunday. Then when the kids arrive, or the ink has dried on the marriage license, it now becomes, you have a hand, do it yourself. Up next we have female sexual arousal disorder, FSAD, which is the female version of impotence. The mind is stimulated, but the body just has not received the memo, so she ain't getting wet. Then there is anorgasmia and female orgasmic disorder, FOD. These are the inabilities to achieve orgasm. Now, these two jewels affect the biggest sex organ of the human body, the brain. Mental barriers also account for performance anxiety, poor self-image or confidence, and may arise from negative past experiences or traumas. Self-esteem is another proponent of mental barriers, and males are so inundated with their faults, flaws, and shortcomings as males that I am surprised they have any esteem at all and can even sexually function for their 3 seconds of female-assisted ejaculation. That's curious, huh? You sure don't hear much about females' dysfunction or female inadequacies or female flaws in regards to anything, but especially in regards to sexuality. But this is by design, because females' most precious commodity is sex. Sex is what they sell. So you want prospective buyers to believe that your commodity, your product, is amazing and fully functional, with more horsepower than you could possibly use. Females sell their sexuality as fully functional and defect-free, because if they practice truth in advertising, the typical "I am an angel, perfect and harmonious in every way," well, that might actually sound a little bit different.
Hi, are you considering purchasing me? Well, just to let you know, I am artificially augmenting my appearance with cosmetics, push-up, everything, and heels. I damn sure won't look like this in the morning 2 years from now. And I have a predisposition to a hypo-sexual sex drive and orgasmic disorder. But I will pretend that I am a nymphomaniac and that you are the biggest and best I have ever seen. Then I'll use you for utility to pay the bills and lift the heavy stuff. Or I will totally manipulate a few kids out of you. Then you will see my true self as the artificial color comes off and the pounds come on. And I leave you, take your kids, most of your crap, ruin your reputation, maybe even sleep with one of your friends or family members. And then when you are ruined, I will hit the gym, the beauty counter at Walmart, and Facebook, looking for another sucker to sell this bill of goods to, all over again.
Yeah. How would that go over? Because, you see, telling males the truth about the female product, well, this would not be conducive to business. And business is selling males on the traditionalist idea of pampering, providing, and protecting womenfolk, collectively through chivalry resultant from both exaltation and infantilization, as well as individually through marriage. And so, since sex is ultimately females' paramount product to peddle, sex which is also the gateway to offspring, thus females need to propagandize a reputation of female sexuality as wondrous, amazing, and mouth-wateringly desirable, whereas male sexuality is so pathetically short and inferior, thus males will seek out females looking to purchase their product in order to augment their inferior product. And hence, female sexuality elevation and male sexuality damnation is the paradigm that we get in a gynocentric society. Now, of course, there is always room for error on my part, but still, when is the last time you heard someone mocking a female by saying, yeah, she couldn't get wet, or she couldn't come, or she didn't last more than a minute? How about, she made a mess all over me? I mean, odor, hair, infections, discharge, anything? Are you drawing a blank? But of course, you sure hear all kinds of jokes in movies, TV, books, pretty much everywhere about men who can't get it up, or the guys that come too soon, or about how gross ejaculate is, or lotion or crusty sheet and Kleenex jokes. I mean, even if you do hear a few things about female genitalia or sexuality, most talk about them occurs in hushed tones, in more private settings. Most guys will not publicly announce that his ex-girlfriend was dry as a box of rocks, whereas females have no problem embarrassing an ex-boyfriend by publicly announcing his impotence, or that his belly button is longer than his Johnson. Oh, you bet. Guys and gals have no problem making public announcements of male sexual inadequacies and pointing out the sexual failings of guys. I have seen it over and over and over in everyday life, from the cell phone store to hotel lobbies to malls, you name it. We feel free to publicly mock male genitalia and sexual ability. Why? Because we publicly devalue males in order to morally justify their expendability. Hence, male mockery is the last acceptable, family-friendly prejudice that exists. Oh, but wait, there is still more inadequacies to level at the guy's sexual ability. The gynocentric minions not only claim multiple orgasms as proof of female sexual superiority, but females also have more erogenous zones than males, more orgasmic variety, vaginal, clitoral, G-spot, anal, and whatever else they decide to throw in there. Oh, yeah, and I think females have pinky finger and ankle orgasms as well. And females have more bang for the buck, because pound for pound, the female orgasm is so much more intense than the male equivalent. Well, golly gee willikers, them females is pretty fancy. By way of contrast, we once again have the pathetic male with his underperformance, mediocre orgasm, and his only single erogenous zone. I have heard all these claims about general female ability and sexual experience over and over and over again, even from guys. I mean, just the other day, I heard this ubiquitous banter from a male. Females have much stronger and more intense orgasms than guys. Yeah, so I argued a bit, but he could not be dissuaded, nor would he concede his belief that females were the be-all and end-all on this planet, and males' reason for existence was to service the female population. Ugh, yeah, I actually like this guy, but after a few minutes of such militant male belittlement, I eventually asked, in my characteristic tone, "Have you been a feminist long, or did you just sign up?" Well, this superiority of sexual capability is all malarkey and propaganda. Know why? Because males have just as many erogenous zones. Their nipples, their ears, their necks, their abdomens, inner thighs, lower backs, buttocks, feet, and anything and everything else are just as sensitive and just as erotically capable. Anything that is erogenous on a female also has erogenous capability on a male, because these are human capabilities, not something only endowed to one sex over the other. Yes, I know. According to the gynocentric crowd, females have extra neuronal pathways, more nerve endings, specialized pleasure-specific organs, and infinite numbers of erotic zones. That's right, females have super fluffy, bunny, extra special sensitive, limited edition fairy dust organs and tissues not found on guys. Oh, you betcha, everybody knows that females come stock from the factory with the XL, the SS, the VIP, and RT Hemi packages not found on any male models. Oh, yes, I have heard plenty regarding the sexual superiority of the female. Enhanced genes, advanced chromosomes, superior anatomy, improved hormonal configurations, as well as fairy dust pinstriping, the Eddie Bauer package, and they come with a super rare commemorative case to hold your director's edition in. Yada frickin' yada. But guess what? We all come from the same building materials. There is no special, completely separate, erotically charged tissue that females are formed from. We are all formed from the same neutral stem cells. All these little distinctions between the sexual capabilities of the sexes boils down to one end goal: the labeling of one as better than the other. Better, more beautiful, more valuable, more this, better that. We demean one sex and elevate the relative worth of the other. That's all this is. Sex is male's Achilles heel. It is the devious leash by which we are bound and led away to our own disposability by females and society. Sexuality is a tragedy for males, a wondrous pleasure that has been twisted against us in order to manipulate us since, right around the dawn of Homo sapiens. You want liberation from devaluation? Free yourself from female dependency, starting with sexual desire. Stop chasing females. Going celibate is the path to empowerment. eschewing sexual congress with females, eschewing romantic interaction. Hell, just rejecting flirtation and usury by females is the next level of male advancement. I mean, if you cannot see life without sex, then you are still in the matrix serving it. Males are essentially signing their own death warrants when they pander to females for affection and attention. Males waste their money, time, abilities, and creative promise chasing vagina when their brilliance could be harnessed towards higher pursuits, which would raise our entire species to higher levels of understanding and existence. Think of the possibilities. Instead of wasting talent chasing bearded clam, instead of rotting away in heartache because of that wizard sleeve, brilliant male minds could be configuring free energy extraction from the 0-point field, or plotting interstellar travel, or even making broccoli taste like cheesecake. My brothers, neither you nor your genitalia nor your sexuality is inferior in any way to females. You are simply the targets of a malicious campaign of propaganda to further devalue you in order to morally justify your expendability. My friends, if you are also sick of the sexual slander of males, then stand with me, live free.